Ooh, audio might be a little weird tonight because I got my system set up differently for working on something else. I don't know how the audio is going to be tonight. We'll find out, I guess. It's using the mic and the camera. I'll be curious to see how that turns out. It may be a rough one tonight. Anyway, so I've been sort of all over the place today. Working on some editing over on the other computer over here. I uploaded the first of the videos for Mobile, Alabama Makerspace to Roving Jack. And yeah, the audio might be a little rough. And I finished editing and scheduled for posting the second of Mobile, Alabama. And by the end of tonight, I should get the third Mobile, Alabama video edited and posted up on schedule so that it'll go up. What's Tuesday, Wednesday are up, Thursday, and then Friday, I think, is what I've got. Mobile, Alabama was one of the ones that was a little bit shorter. Also has the one coming up tomorrow. Is one of my favorite stories of how they started a makerspace. So it's just one of my favorite stories from that trip. I'm gonna try to do some posting over probably tonight for a book review for to go live tomorrow, and then I believe I'm doing a game review for Friday. Yeah. Audio might be a little weird because this isn't plugged into the system. I didn't notice that until after I set it up. So maybe the audio sounds a little more tinny tonight or a little glitchy. Does it? Probably doesn't sound as good as it sometimes does. There's some tabletop gaming news that came out today that got my inspiration going. So I've been a little distracted trying to keep myself on the rails with the things I'm doing. But I've also been spending the last couple days trying to do the animation project for the end of the month. And that's not too bad. I'm curious to see how that looks or how it sounds when I go back and review it. But yeah, the animation project is coming to a close in just a few days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days left to do the animation project. And after that, we move into the alphabet project, or the alphabet challenge, I guess is what I'm calling it. I've been trying to let people know I'm doing it and seeing if anybody else wants to do it and get their sense of, do we want to have a blog site or a forum or something like that to share the experience later? I don't know. I just haven't figured it out yet. But I guess maybe somebody else will let me know what they would prefer with that kind of thing. But in the meantime, I've been trying to take a look at my challenge list and figure out what the ones I'm going to do are. Because I made that list. It's the 4 columns with a prompt for each of the letters of the alphabet in each column. And one of them's theme, one of them's medium, and one of them's object, and one of them is technique. And then there's the letters that you could just do if you wanted to do a calligraphy for every one of them. But I went through my list and found one that I think works pretty good for most of them. And so like astronomy, book, collage, dough, egg, felt, glass, hair, inlay, jewelry, knife, leather, mask, napkin ring, origami, pyrography, quilling, ring, sgraffito, tape, UV, VFDA, which stands for Visual Focus Depth Art, whistle, Xerox art, Yeseria, which is that's a engraved plaster essentially, and ziti, as in the pasta. And so, like, that's the list I'm choosing to do stuff for. Now, the specifics of each one of those things that I will end up making is a little bit. So, like, book is, I might do some book binding, collage, newspaper style collage work or something like that. Dough, I might do something like a salt dough or some other kind of craft dough project. Felt could be stitching together felt into something or felting something into another shape. So glass could be stained glass, or it can be etched glass, or it can be painted glass if you wanted to. So what I'm doing as I'm going through this list is trying to come up with a actual project for each of them. And some of them are definitely weird. So Sgraffito is basically taking tinted plasters in layers and then scratching through the upper layer to get to the darker layer underneath. It's pretty much scratch art. They do it for pottery too. I'm still, like, I started putting this list together for the things I definitely wanted to explore a while ago, and I don't remember what weird project I was imagining I was going to do for some of these. Because, like, hair. What am I going to do for hair? Like, what was the plan for that one? I don't think I remember. I mean, one of the things I could potentially do, I'll just put this in there right now, is I could take, not my hair necessarily, because I think mine's too curly to make it work well, but I can use hair to make paintbrushes that work for painting. That would be weird. It would be fun to just try doing that. Inlaying, I could inlay wood to make patterns, or I could do inlaying some shell, maybe some bone, and a few other things maybe to make a piece of stylized woodwork inlay. Actually, I can look up, that's something worth looking up. Let's see, inlay. Ornament an object by embedding pieces of a different material in it, flush with its surface. I wonder if wood is the only material do we do it with? Inlay and metal. Okay. The history of inlay is very old, but it is still evolving. Alongside new techniques and new materials being discovered today. The technique of metal inlay was sophisticated and accomplished in ancient China. Inlay in stone. Now that would be interesting to try. Inlay in fabric. Wow, that's weird. So inlay in stone. Oh, you know, I have a vague maybe reminder of something I was thinking of doing, like a wire inlay into wood. So let's just put that in there. So what you would then end up doing is you would get a piece of wood, maybe a barrette that you made for crafting or something like that, and you'd take a piece of wood, you'd sort of whittle a small groove in a certain pattern into the surface, and then you take a piece of maybe square, maybe half square, maybe round wire, and you take a very fine bead of an epoxy and you lay that wire down into the tracks that you dug into the wood, let it set up, and then you sand down the surface till it's flush with the wood. A wire inlay into wood, yeah, that's doable. And then I have in there knife for K, and I kind of want to see if I can make a knife, like with the traditional, not with like a forged knife necessarily. Although, if I get my stuff together in time, I might be able to even pull some of that together. But more along the lines of, you can get a piece of bar stock. There's a methodology for some knife makers that is literally just, you start with a piece of material that's too big for the finished product and you grind it down into shape. It might be fun just to make your first knife some way like that. Leatherworking. I was debating. One of the things I have on here for mask is I could make some simple fun masks, but considering that we're still in a pandemic, I am considering the possibility of making a plague doctor mask, which I don't know when I'd ever wear it, but it would be funny as all get out. I don't remember what it was I was going to do for origami, but I can kind of figure something out for that. Pyrography is just wood burning. Paper quilling is the coils of paper that are put together to make artwork. I know what I'm going to do for the ring. I don't know what the work I'm going to make for this graffito is. I know how to do it. Like, I've never done it before, but I understand how it works. It's like those scratch art project sheets that you can get, where it's like some glossy piece of burnished metal, or sometimes it's like this metallic looking papers with a thin layer of black over top of them, and you scratch out the black to get to the metallic look underneath. Ooh, that's a thought. Like, I wonder if I could make that top layer a white layer of plaster that I paint just lightly with like washes to give like a painting that you would scratch through to a metallic or similar kind of material underneath, and get sort of like I could do a picture of I could take a metal sheet, or put down maybe even some like gold leafing on the first layer, seal it in, do a second layer of plaster in white, and then use like a acrylic wash, or maybe a watercolor, and just lightly get a layer of a painting of, say, like a forest or a sky painting on that plaster, and then just like a generic simple background that doesn't need to be a piece in and of itself, and then scratch through that painting to that golden color underneath. So it looks like there's, like, you could put somebody's name or a symbol so that it looks like you could do a leaf symbol or like a coat of arms over a picture of the homeland of your family or something like that. Like, just maybe that's an idea. I will think about that. I will probably experiment with that. I will probably do more than one in case one of them fails. The next one on the list is tape. Now, the reason I chose that one was because of the appeal of the idea of seeing if I could make something like you've ever seen those people who do like the duct tape wallet or things like that? There's a part of me is like, I could probably figure out something to do with that. But now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I don't want a wallet. Like, I don't want to make a thing that I don't actually want. So what would I actually make? It's not like I'm not going to make a purse. I'm not going to make a keychain. I don't know. Like, there's got to be something I can make out of duct tape. And then the UV ultraviolet one, I'm not really even sure what direction to head in. Like, my impulse is to say to go get some UV inks and do a project with that. I don't know, like, what I would do that would be interesting with that. Visual focus depth art, VFDA, is for the V category. And that one I'm kind of playing around with the idea of doing. You ever see, like, at the front of old storybooks where they've got the illumination, that little block for the first letter, especially when it's like once upon a time, there's a block with these filigree all around it and an O in it, and then it's the NCEE, just one E, don't need more than one, upon a time. And visual focus depth art is where you take a piece of flat two-dimensional artwork and you pull the layers out from each other so that it stands up. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. I mean, I could do topographical maps too if I really wanted to. Whistle is for W, and I got a little goofy with that one. Like, it's fairly easy to make a whistle, and so there was a part of me that said, like, could we whittle a whistle from wood with a winter theme? Because the categories that I have available would include, I don't think whittle is one of the categories, but whistle, wood, and winter are three of the options for the W. And so I could get three of those categories in there just to be a dork. Could I whittle a whistle from wood with a winter theme? And then Xerox art is really, I could probably just use the scanner if I can get it to work, where you just assemble a bunch of things on a Xerox copier and scan it. Actually, it might be kind of fun to see if I could figure out a way to get my collage, essentially three-dimensional collage, assembled and held in place well enough so that I could go into a few of those places that have a photocopier that you can use to make a copy of something. And you put like 25 cents to $1 into these things and they spit out a copy of what you're trying to copy. That could be fun just to try to do it that way. The Euceria, Yeseria is the Y letter project. And that is essentially carving plaster. It's usually meant to be like in relief or into the plaster to form like a one-dimensional, well, two-dimensional depth. It's not meant. It's meant to be sort of like a contained within the block kind of approach. And so I can figure out a few things to do for that. The Z, I chose ziti. Now I've got, like, I could make a baked ziti dish. That would be one thing I could do. But I kind of want to get some ziti pasta and see if I can they're basically a small piece of tube made out of wheat flour. And I feel like I could probably engrave into the surface something, and then I might even be able to electroplate the pasta when it's done. So I can make pendants and stuff like that. That just, like, to me, like, it's not necessarily just good enough to just go like, oh yeah, I could totally, do something stupid with a piece of pasta or something. Like, I really, really want to go weird. I want to do something that I don't think I've ever seen anybody do with a piece of pasta. That's just part of what I want to do. There's jewelry, hair, glass, felt, eggs. I've got the blown out eggs that are the hollow shells of an egg. I'm gonna see if I can get some painting done on them. I want to do some painted eggshells. Bookbinding, and then A is astronomy. So I could do photography for that, but I also may see if I could do some painting. See if I could do like a galaxy painting style. The big ones right now that don't have anything in them would be the UV. I haven't really figured out for sure what I'm going to do for the Xerox art, but quilling, pyrography, and origami. Like, I know the techniques for doing those things. I don't know what I'm going to make with them. I will say potentially for the VFDA that I might just insert the option to make topographical maps. Tape. What else would I make for duct tape projects? That's the other thing. Is I was trying to do a little research into that yesterday. Like bookmarks, wallets, purses, those seem to be the most common creations. There have been a few making shoes, duct tape roses. There have been those kids that make their prom outfits out of duct tape. Some duct tape jewelry, bow ties. A bank, no. Bookmarks is another. I mean, maybe bookmarks, but I mean, I'd likely use a bookmark. That's not a big stretch for me. I mean, it really looks like everybody's making wallets, and that's like, it's less interesting to me. I mean, I could maybe make an artwork. I don't know. There are other things I can do, like when I really want to think outside the box. Somebody did a coin purse, it looks like. That looks like a Pokeball. I don't know. Could I make a globe? Like, what could I really honestly make out of a duct tape style project? Duct tape category on DeviantArt. There we go. What do we got? That is not duct tape. Why is that? Okay, there we go. Roses, purses, boots. I don't know about boots. Flowers, ornaments, bows. Come on. It really looks like it. That's what everybody does is flowers, wallets, and purses. That's not getting me anywhere. I'll have to really brainstorm up on this one a little bit. Because I gotta imagine there are other interesting things I could make other than those simple. I did sort of talk with one of the people I was mentioning my month of projects on another forum. I was talking about, and they said the idea is to do one project for each letter, and I'm like, I'm kind of rules light. I like if you wanted to make jewelry, a glass jewelry in the shape of keys, then I would include that as glass G, jewelry J, and K for keys. I'd give you one for each of those categories for that one project. So like, it's possible I could do something like that for that. Let's just take a look at what paper craft projects are out there. Because essentially you're doing a vinyl craft. So it's very much like a paper craft that you're going to end up making something. So you move into the category of being more three-dimensional. Now it is going to be not quite as rigid as paper can be sometimes. Could you do like a paper lantern maybe? Out of duct tape though? It's not going to be like a lampshade. Could do a puppet. A duct tape puppet. I don't know. Like, I really have to brainstorm this one. This is going to be the hard one to do. Like, I originally thought it would just be like just make a duct tape wallet. But I don't want a wallet. And that seems sort of like the cheap, lame way out. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to make? Okay, so I'm not seeing a lot right now, and I'm sure it's not the most scintillating content for me to be blathering on about that, but there is a simple way to build some enclosures for both audio and video. I feel like the problem with that is you're just making a box at that point. And like a duct tape box is one thing. Like a tool bag? Oh, a tool belt. That would be kind of funny. A duct tape tool belt. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I could just give that a shot. I'll just put that on the list, and if I come up with something better in the meantime, I'll come up with something better. Or an apron, a work apron. So let's just say that's what we're going to do for duct tape. UV, ultraviolet artworks. I can just pop over again and do another search for UV art. I kind of like the idea of doing something a little three-dimensional, maybe. Huh. Oh, see, I'm already starting to generate ideas for projects that are way more complicated than I'll be able to put the time in. Like right now, what I was thinking of is if I were to do something three-dimensional, did you ever have like a spirograph as a kid? One of those toys that it was basically a set of planetary gears, and you put a pencil inside one of the inner gears and you move it around, and it makes these sort of wave patterns in a shape of a torus or something like that. There's a part of me that so desperately wants to figure out if there's a way I could do that on the surface of a sphere. I imagine with a lot of time to 3D model and 3D print, I might be able to build a spirograph that can work on the surface of a set sphere size. And then I could do these patterns on the surface of the sphere of spirograph in UV ink. But that is a multi-week long project. I am looking for a project I will do in a day. So that is not going to be it. But I should make a note about it, just so I don't forget that that's a project that I want to play with at some point. UV inks, other projects to do with UV inks. Let's just see. Google image search for inspiration. I do like the idea of doing a three-dimensional work. Oh, actually, I wonder if I can get some clear sheet and use UV inks. So like acetate sheet from like a stationery store or something like that, and do layers of clear acetate with pseudo-invisible UV inks on them that light up and make like a three-dimensional pattern in the stack of clear sheet. Actually, might even be able to do it on glass, now that I think about it. I wonder how far the UV penetrates into the glass. Oh, that could be worth playing with. So I'm going to pop that in as a note. Now that would technically be something I could include as counting as the glass work, but I've already got something else planned for that. So UV or layered glass with UV ink drawing on multiple layers. That'd be worth playing with. Xerox art. I don't know what I'm going to do for that yet. I don't know what the creation I'm going to be making for this graffito is. But I did want to say, okay, I did come up with a metallic under and let's just say space over scratch art, and that'll probably be what I'll end up doing, something to that effect. I might switch out for different themes, but quilling, pyrography, and origami. And the napkin rings to a certain degree. I'm not sure where I'm going to go with that one. Wire inlay, make paintbrushes, etched glass. Eggs, salt dough. I don't know what I'm going to do with the salt dough yet, so I'm going to put some marks on here to sort of highlight the ones that I have to do a little more thinking on. So inlay, jewelry, knife making, leather. I'll have to figure that one out a little bit too, but that's going to be more based off of what I can get the supplies for. Now it's interesting because napkin rings, I know the ring I want to make. I don't know what materials I'm going to make it out of and the exact style it's going to look in. Like, I know I'm going to make a napkin ring, and I know it's going to have a theme on it. But I do not know what technique or medium I'm going to use to make them. Origami, pyrography, and quilling are the next three I have to figure out. I kind of want to make a useful origami. I don't know what that would qualify as. UV, DA, whistle, got it. Xerox art, I have to figure that one out a little bit. And ZD, so I really just have the 1, 2, 3, and 4, maybe 5 things I have to really figure out before the start of February and just start going at it. Yeah, I mean, I get excited when I think about doing these projects. It will probably be pretty difficult to get all the time together to do some of it, but I'm going to see if I can get one of my folding tables in here, wash down the surface of it, and fold it out without folding the legs down, and prop it up on the bed. I'm going to see if I can set up a camera with a top-down view of it so that you can see some still images, if nothing else, of me working on the project. I mean, I could theoretically see about hooking up the camera, the web camera, for a top-down video of it. Seems like an awful lot of work. And I'm not sure what the best format for that to be at any point would be. Would it be like a time lapse? Actually, does my phone offer a time lapse feature? My phone might actually do that. So let's check it out. What are the features? Portrait, spot color, panorama, live filter, time lapse. It does offer a time lapse. So if I can set this up as an overhead camera and time lapse it, that might be doable. Huh. I'll have to think about that. See what I can do with it. I will probably have to invest in a little card, micro SD card to insert just for collecting that video. Huh. That's a worthwhile, interesting little project to play with. I will make note of that too. Cell phone. Time lapse. I wonder if I'll play with time lapse tonight to see if it makes a noise beforehand. So I'll debate. I'll maybe for a couple of these projects, I'll test out different ways of doing it. Maybe just a few still slides, full video of a short, simple project. But would it be more fun to do as it catching me with my hands working on it, or would it be more fun to do time lapse where every time it takes a picture, the project's a little bit more done, and so it's just this sort of no hands in picture. It's just the thing finishing its own shape. That would be kind of funny. I might play with a little bit of that. So I'll figure that out as I go. So origami. Let's look image. Well, let's do pyrography first. Pyrography. That is wood burning for the layman. What kind of interesting projects could I do for wood burning? Badoop to you too, computer. Yeah, let me know it's finished something. I don't know. If I had a logo for some of my projects, that would be one thing. I could do a very sort of geometric pattern wood burning process. I don't know. I mean, it really seems like that's mostly a black and white image done on wood. So I'll consider some options as to some interesting things to do. I do think it's easier to do just a simple black and white, but you can do shades with wood burning. Maybe a three-dimensional wood burning project? I don't know. There's so many options. I do have a little time. The harder projects to figure out, I can put them towards the end of the month, so that it's not it's not like I have to figure it out in the next 6 days. So let's take a look at quilling. Quilling. Mandalas, hearts, peacocks, leaves. Ooh, I kind of like the, that's an interesting look. Somebody's made patterns that look very stained glassy. That's maybe not the wrong way to go. That's a weird way of phrasing that. That sounds like a good way to go. So figure out a stained glass pattern and make each of your pieces out of quilled paper. I can dig that. That's not a bad idea. Yep, okay. I think that's what I'm probably going to do. Stained glass pattern. Probably in an Art Deco style, because that's one of my favorite things to do. Okay, that's not bad. Could I do an Art Deco pattern for wood burning? Maybe. I mean, just a simple Art Deco in wood burning. I think if I were to do that, I would almost prefer to do on a three-dimensional surface. Like full on Art Deco out a pattern onto. I could totally do that. That's not a bad idea. Like a lamp base or a vase, a wooden base. I think I could do that. Yeah, let's put that down as an Art Deco vase. Vase or lamp. And that sort of really just leaves the origami and Xerox art. Sort of figure out where I'm going with the napkin ring and the salt dough. Those are the two remaining. So let's be curious and do a little bit of where did that go? Did I lose it already? Of course I lost it. Why wouldn't I lose it? Yes, I've definitely lost my mind. That pattern was here somewhere. There we go. Save that as inspiration. Now let's do a origami. I wanted to do useful origami. Tool and art material holder origamis. Maybe. Boxes and holders for projects. Maybe. Bowls, plates, cups, whatnot. Eh. I want something that seems sort of like has a wow factor to them. Oh, I do vaguely recall something. It's not quite origami. So it's not quite, I think, what we want to do. But let's see. Origami lamp. I'd be wagering your good money that there's something there. Oh, so like a modular origami might be doable. I'm one of those like stubborn jerks that if you were to say, oh, let's do some origami, if I see a pair of scissors or glue or tape, I'm going to be angry. Like origami is one piece of paper folded. I better not see more than one piece of paper, and I better not see any glue tape or anything else. I wonder though, like I don't necessarily have to do it in paper, do I? Could I do a clear material? Most of that's gonna, like, you can't crease it well. Or if you can, like, you could probably take a clear shower curtain and do some interesting origami with it. But when you did that, it's not gonna have the rigidity that paper uses to hold things together. All right, so I will probably just think about doing an origami lamp of some kind, just as a something to set down. I will probably adjust it and come up with other ideas later. All right, so that leaves the Xerox art and the salt dough mostly to figure out. Xerox art. How far are we into the night? We got a little ways to go. Well, aluminum foil, we could potentially do it. I do think you could do some origami with different foils. And you might even be able to take like I don't think I have any around me because I don't drink beer or anything like that. But you could probably take like a aluminum can and take that sheet metal and bend it to the forms you need to make an origami object. And actually, that might be more fun to do. Let me see here. I used to do this thing I had fun with, making these. I would get a roll of copper flashing from the hardware store, and I would fold things out of that copper flashing. I made some bugs. Now, those usually required some cutting of pieces, but I bet you I could make from aluminum foil some folded metal projects. Animals, other kind of decorative pieces you can make jewelry out of, stuff like that. Is it origami if you don't use paper? That's an interesting question I need to figure out. Origami, is it specifically folded paper? Origami is the art of paper folding. So it comes from the root words of ori, which means folding, and kami, which means paper. So origami is paper. All right. I don't know. I will think more on that, but yeah, I think we're probably at the point where I have to call it for tonight anyway. Maybe just I I can still try to do some origami with foil. That's not a. I'm just curious enough that I would do it anyway, just for the heck of it. But just for one last little gander, let us see if Xerox art. Okay, let's do some images. Google image search of Xerox art for what you can do with it. Huh. So it's I mean, Xerox art really feels more like you make a collage of all sorts of materials on a page and then you just photocopy it. Now you can do depth things, like there are definitely like the press your face to it, and as the scanner bar goes by, roll your face so it looks like your head's peeled out onto a flat surface. You can definitely do stuff like that with it too. What else could we that could be a fun thing to do actually, is to do a sort of mosaic of things laid out in a collage, and they'd be like three-dimensional things. I'm thinking about it now. So there may be a way to do this. Ooh, you could do some other fun things too, I guess. If you don't mind putting down a clear sheet before you do it, you could put like bubbles, splashes of liquid. Like there's some options there, yeah. I think that might be kind of interesting to try to do, honestly. Could I write with a liquid in multiple colors? Oh, would it be? I don't know if it would be Xerox art if it were colored. Maybe tinted to get different shades. And the distance away from the scanner distorts images behind it. So I might do like some opaque ones. I'd be curious to see what I could do with it, yeah. Xerox art seems like it's a field that's so like forgotten that it's hard to say what I could do with it if given the chance. I may do the origami with aluminum foil and maybe some copper flashing if I've got any that I can do that with. But I will do a paper origami project too, just because the guy who hates people who use tape and glue and whatnot and cut pieces off and call it origami. If you do that, you can call it kirigami and I'm fine with it. But if you call it origami, I'm gonna take issue with it. I just that stickler for no. If you're doing a thing, do a thing. What kinds of weird materials that you can't get a picture of easily could I use to make these Xerox artworks? I mean, some of it could be stuff you squish between. I'll have to think about it, but it's definitely like more solid than it was before in my head. All right, we're at an hour. I'm going to call it here tonight. I keep doing this where I'm like, I'm not convinced I have anything useful to say, and then I get brainstorming on here. We run too long, and I should just split it up over multiple ones because I don't know that any of my friends are going to watch an hour-long ramble of me trying to figure out what to do, but maybe. But for now, I will say take care, stay safe, and have a good night. I almost said take and good night. No, that's not how I type. Hope I haven't done that on previous nights. I'm sure I've done it once or twice. Take care and good night. I will catch you. What is the next one? Today is Tuesday, Thursday.